Hello, I'm Meredith Rose. Welcome to Happy Eclipse. I'm talking with Willow Rockwell, who's an astrologer. So much more background is in psychology, and she just kind of intuitively reaches into different metaphysical realms. So thank you so much for being here, Willow. I appreciate your presence.
Thanks for having me. I know we went back and forth a little bit, like, should we tap in? Should we wait? And it's like, ooh, let's just jump in. It's such a
Yeah,
powerful portal today. It sounds cliche sometimes to say it, but really, it's just like, whoa.
yeah, it is. And I felt the same way this morning. Like maybe it would be best just to
Yeah.
stay in total contemplation, all day. But and then I realized you were talking before we started recording, you were talking about, I don't know, ancient Rome or ancient Greece. And it's funny because after I thought about what I'd like to ask you and what I might want to say, what really occurred to me was the ancient wisdom from Socrates, who said that he knew nothing. And what I realized in the face of this eclipse or whatever it was, the astro, I mean, I'm not a great student of astrology, but I realized I really didn't know anything. And it's a great relief in a way.
I was just going to say, doesn't that feel like a relief? It's like the letting go of all that managing and sorting and sifting and putting things in categories. And it's like that black hole energy we're talking about, where it's like it just can all collapse and a whole new universe is born. And that's such the energy today. It's great.
Well, that's interesting. Could you expand on that a little?
A
Like,
little bit more. It's just something that I'm really starting to dive into more of like um, I guess metaphysical, like so beyond even like what astrology can show us, right? Like really the cosmos and like understanding too that it's all within. It's like the sun and moon are within us, the planets are within us. It's not just in our eyes, it's like our whole body, our whole system. So it's like this whole focus inward more and more. And so it's like the more I keep collapsing is sort of the best way I can say, like structures within myself. It's like new universes are revealed, and it's like light keeps getting lighter and lighter. And this morning, I want to share this experience because it was so impactful for me. My heart was like super heavy. The last couple of days, it felt like I had a knife in the back of my um, well, it's not the chest in the back, but going through my chest in the back. And I realized has been something that I've been dealing with off and on since I want to say 2012. And today it just felt like I could either keep like holding on and trying to like fix, right? Like fix a broken heart or whatever terminology you want to use, or I could just like really let it break open and expand. And then that message I shared with you from my friend and teacher, Colleen, it just really helped me be like, yes, like really expand. Like instead of feeling like I was having like a heart attack, it was like, no, you're having a heart expansion. So this like implosion within and then the expansion is just, I keep feeling more and more of that. So whatever I was holding on to, whether that was physically or philosophically or belief system or anything like that, the more I could just like you said, I don't know. And then it just sort of like takes care of itself. And then you're entered into this whole new world. So that was my experience this morning.
yes, right. You said so much because, first of all, it's kind of bringing us to the fact that we're in this mystery and adventure rather than gathering a lot of data and putting together a puzzle piece.
Yeah.
Really
Mm-hmm.
not like Sherlock Holmes trying to figure it out, even though, believe me, I try.
Yeah.
But and what you said is so provocative because I realized when I was out just kind of feeling the sun and looking at the sun, and I realized that in order for me to get into this huge cosmos in a different way than I have before, I have to get into my whole body.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing, right? And it's like cliche, some of the things, but now they're just becoming so like, well, duh, like the pressure creates diamonds kind of scenario. And like that we really have been in this kind of like cosmic birth canal for intensely, I would say, since 2012, right? Like really just what
Right.
is working, what isn't working, what can we let go, less outsourcing and more insourcing. You see the whole collective and all the data they want to like feed to you, right? Through all the screens and all the devices and the news and stuff. And you're just like, wait a minute, I can really go within. And like the resource field is inside of us, not outside of us so much anymore.
That's just the huge key. And it's
Mhm.
almost an incredible burden in a way, personally,
Right.
yet to embody it and to realize that that's kind of what's up for us, that we really are kind of bringing the only human being that we can into reality, which is our own personal self.
Mhm.
That is,
Right.
that
We're
is,
the ones we've been waiting for.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Could we relate this to astrology in the sense that we've got a Mars Saturn um conjunction, right?
Junction.
Going
Yeah.
on, so that the aggressive Mars is hitting the wall of Saturn and kind of someone was talking about it almost like forging a sword, making a sword. You put it in the fire, and then you put it in the cold, and you put it in the fire. We're kind of tempering ourselves, or as you said, maybe making a diamond. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Like, because diamonds are forged under pressure, right? And so, even like our bodies, literally, it's like carbon is 666. Do you know that?
Vaguely.
Oh, so,
No, but yes,
but then you take all that carbon and put it under pressure, and it changes slightly, and then it becomes a diamond. So it's just like this idea that even our physical vessels are really changing, and like we're evolving physically, not just like spiritually, right? We can say, oh, we've let go of this concept, or we have a new concept and this is evolving, but like our physical bodies are actually totally evolving because the sun is evolving, the sun's affecting our bodies, the stars are evolving. It's like we're just in this period of time that I think has been long prophesied. I think we talked a little bit just touching on it, like so many different cultures, religions, groups have been saying like this time, so this is the time I feel like where we as individuals do realize that we're the ones we've been waiting for. And all these other civilizations, past life or whatever we've experienced, it's like been training grounds for now. So you can get really excited about it. You know what I mean? So it's less learning and sifting and less historical stuff. It's like we're the living libraries. It's in our bones. It's in our DNA. Like we're living it, like this cosmic stardust, and we're here, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful, because my real question, I think my main question to you is, how does each individual now approach this being a sovereign being? Everyone's talking about this, the authenticity, the
Right.
identity. Martin Heidegger was talking about it in the 1920s.
Mhm.
What is being in time, but so my question to you is, in your experience right now, with your wisdom, how how does each individual actually do this? You talked about codes before. Is that part of
Mhm. Yeah, I think because we really are so individual. So I think it's like letting our dreams tell us, letting synchronicities tell us, let us like, I call them the truth bumps. Like if I hear something or think of something and my whole body will like turn into chills, I call it the truth bumps. And so just following those things that it's a wellspring from within, right? And you can get activations from outside, of course, or a tidbit from a teacher or whatever. But I think it's less what we don't know. Like coming back to what you said in the beginning, it's like knowing we don't know, and then it's an adventure again, instead of this like trying to prove or match or relate. Even, it was like we had to be relatable for so long, but now it's more like, why? Like, how about be like totally unrelatable? And then that's really unique and individual. So we're not like fitting in like a puzzle, like you said, but like it's all these different, it's kind of like the picture behind me, right? Like if you think of dark matter, it's all splattery, it's not organized, it's unique, it's genius, but it's all connected somehow. So it's not like this fitting in a box kind of thing. We're just kind of done with that. I couldn't do it if I tried, you know?
I love what you're saying, because it may have something to do with this kind of what ancestral something that comes to us from our ancestors, which of course some of it is marvelous and wonderful. But on the other hand, we know we've been conditioned.
Mhm.
No, especially for some of us who are, of a certain age, we know that the conditioning has been so intense, and we've done our best to conform to that conditioning and to conform to being the kind of person that we think we should be, whether it's from a religious point of view or just from a purely ethical and moral point of view. But it ends up feeling not free.
Yeah, exactly. We had to be in a tribe to survive. And that doesn't mean we don't want friends or community or connections. That's not it at all. But it's not driven on this like survival instinct, or we like, if we don't do this, we won't make it kind of thing.
That's
We're
fantastic.
creating.
So when you
Yeah.
say this about being a tribe, one of the fascinating things, I mean, I love ancient history and medieval history, and there was this Mongol, Genghis Khan back in
Oh,
the
yeah.
hundreds who conquered the whole, Eastern world. But what had happened to him as a child was his mother and himself and his sister had been thrown out of the tribe and left to die out in the wilderness in Siberia. And they
Wow.
survived. And so he, with this incredible blackening out of any possibility, right, to survival, became this. Well, I mean, it depends on what you think about conquering, but one of the things he did was he enriched the places that he conquered more or less and let them have their own religions and so on. So anyway,
Wow.
so maybe, and because, well, I'm connecting a lot of things at once, but it seems to me that we modern people really don't like to be out of control. We've been taught that we can create it however we want. And so what you and I are kind of looking at and kind of, like expanding right now is to not be in control and to let these forces sort of work through us with a kind of a trust, right? That it will take us where we want to go.
Yes, totally. Like evolution. And I think the biggest part of evolution right now is letting go of all these things we thought we needed to do to evolve, and see like what happens if we just let it all go. Like you said, it's a relief in a way. I felt like that too. And it's different for everybody, what things they thought needed to be done to be spiritual or to be evolved or things like that. Like I can speak for myself. There was a lot of things that you hear, like probably more new age, like you needed to do to be spiritual. And I never liked doing any of those things. So just sort of really understanding like that's not my way. So that's actually holding me back from evolution and my own genius more than helping me. And then I was just like, oh, if I don't want to sit and meditate, I don't have to. Like I do better walking my dog. Like we're all very different, unique beings. And I think that's what's so exciting about these times is like we can rediscover ourselves and like redesign ourselves. And I think even with our astrology charts, it sort of shows like what the plan was in the contract to now. And I even see that this is my own personal sort of code, I guess, because I'm not saying throw away astrology charts, but it really is within, and we can like redesign from within and then create like what's the new path we want? What is the new story we want to tell? What is the new story we want to live? You know? So we're not even bound to those kind of constructs anymore.
Right. And it feels so freeing. I feel that, I mean, I could give astrological implications of this. Like, for instance, I have a lot of Venus sort of things in my, aspects or my chart. And so I often tend to forego something that I want to do because I'll consider other people or I keep
Mm-hmm.
harmony. And so now I feel this huge need, even though I haven't embodied this all. I mean, this has been coming on for a long time, but what I feel is this need to be more free in relationships and my own creativity and what I do and what I do for others and how I do it and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to bring it back to astrology a little bit with all of what you're saying, I do know you have that North Node in Leo, and you're meant to just do exactly what you said. Like not try to fit into a group, not care actually. And it's not caring in like you don't care, but you're actually meant as a soul to evolve by not caring about fitting in. And standing out is actually key to your personal evolution.
Well, thanks. But honestly, sometimes I feel like being led to
Yeah.
the, led to the deep pool or led
Yeah.
to a feeling of disaster. Like even to reveal myself is something that I do not like to do. I like to learn things from other people and I like to enhance them, but I don't like to reveal myself. So it's all very interesting because
Well, starting today, it's just, I feel like that's what the word apocalypse means too, is just like removing of the veils, right? So it's not that we have to be vulnerable in a way that makes us feel like we could be victimized. That's not what it is at all, but more like if there's something you feel like you want to say, create, do, or not do that, And then it's like, those are the multidimensional portals that we walk through. You make those choices from that place, and then all these other choices open up instead of like looking at the straight and narrow and being like, that's the way, this is how it has to be done, and checking off all the boxes, I mean, we can do it that way, but I just think it's not going to feel as fresh and exciting. And we have this opportunity to really live that way right now. So why not?
in your own personal life, I mean, you described this body sensation that you had. How personally have you been working with kind of moving through a portal? Or, I mean, obviously we're talking about some great awakening here, but in a personal way, what can you sense indications of this happening with?
Well, yeah, because you say personal, and again, I think that's so important. I feel like everybody has their own way of feeling like, whoa, that was an activation, or something was really different, or whoa, I did step through a whole new realm. So for me personally, dreams are a really big thing. And then synchronicities too. I mean, even my latest teacher that I found right now, it's only because I was having these dreams and these codes. I call them codes, but it could be downloads, different words for people kind of dropping in about like seeing more of a diamond grid, or sensing more of like the dark field, right? Which would be like the dark matter, which is in our bodies, and all this like place where we create. Like the ancient Greeks, they called it the fifth element or quintessence. So it's like this complete mystery. And then you realize through your own experiences and sometimes just glimpses, like, holy shit, I am a mystery, like even onto myself. Like who I thought I was is just kind of what I was told or what I learned. So it's just
Yeah.
letting stuff go instead of adding things has been my personal experience. Because even like astrology, I touched on this a little bit, but it was like trying to kind of force myself into how I would use astrology and needing to use it a certain way. I just let that go too. I'm like, I'm just going to see what this activates within me and speak from that place instead of having to prove what a good astrologer I am, or something like that. That's an example where it was just like, I'm just going to see how this comes through for me.
Right. It's letting go rather than adding on, and letting go of any of perceptions that we have that we think are accurate about how it's supposed to be or how
Yeah,
we're supposed to be, right?
exactly. And,
And
and even how anything is supposed to feel. So I could say how something felt like in my body for an activation. And I feel like we'll just, I don't know another way to say it, in the old world or realm or paradigm, we would need somebody to validate that that's how it was supposed to be, so that we did get the activation or we did move through the portal. But now it's like, again, like being unrelatable is kind of the key to your genius, right?
brilliant, Willow. Thank
Mhm.
you.
You're
And
welcome.
especially for us Americans, because even though we may think that we're a nation of individuals, I find actually we're a nation of conformists. And
Yeah.
in this time of incredible extremes, I think it's very difficult underneath the surface of Americans, but I think it's very, very difficult to make this shift. And what's significant about it is that whatever happens here will eventually trickle out to honestly the whole rest of the world, because our kind of thing has gone out to the rest of the world. So if we can go through this, whatever it is that we're going
Yes,
through.
totally. Yes, the portal, I guess, the portal of individuation. And I mean, it is an eclipse in an Aries, right? And Aries is all about like the individual, whereas the opposite of that is Libra. That's where we had the lunar eclipse. And so that's about relatedness and connectedness and all this kind of stuff. But the fact that this eclipse is also with the North Node, which again is sort of like destiny energy, and then Chiron, which is the wounded healer, I think it's like helping to heal those wounds, to be like wait a minute, I am not supposed to just be in a bowl of jello and one big mush and like we're all one thing. I actually am meant to be here evolving, because it is, again, the process of evolution, and everybody has their own individual uniqueness to bring to this planet and beyond. Because what we do, what we do here in these bodies, it's a ripple effect too.
Right, right. I mentioned to you that, well, a couple of things. I mean, every time you speak, so many, two or three different things
Mhm.
light up for me to say, but one of them was that this being in Aries and that Chiron, right, the healer, is conjunct this also, or is
Yeah,
that a way of talking about it? So is there
totally.
some kind of healing about who kind of the Aries I am vibe gets healed?
That's how I feel it. hmm And I think it's like the opportunity. I don't feel like there's things necessarily like outside of us doing the healing necessarily, but it like opens up the veils, and it's like easier to just sort of like, oh, right, like I do want to just be myself, express myself in this whole way that I don't even know what that is yet. And then you get excited to live again, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the life force energy. And instead of doing all that managing like we're talking about.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think the things that, if there's an essence to what we're talking about, and I'd love your thoughts about this, but it seems to me that it's about losing things rather than adding things on or letting go of things, but to not control, to be rebellious in the sense of being freer.
Mhm.
What else would you add to that? Just because.
I would add to that, consciously like casting forth too from your own body, from your
Mm,
own cells, your DNA, your bones, what you want to experience, what you want the story to be. Again, instead of that law of attraction, like I'm going to match to a frequency and then hope to find it out there, right? It's like it's within you. So you cast it forth. And that doesn't mean like everything we so called want or desire or want to create or experience will just magically unfold. I think potentially, wouldn't that be great in the future if that is how it is? But just acting more as like magicians, right? Instead of, again, that outside managing and matching, and just being like, I'm going to create this from within me because it came from me to create and put into this world. So being conscious creators, I think, is very like key for me, actually, to like really know that I am creating. Like if I could create a bunch of experiences I didn't like, why on earth can't I create ones I want to experience, because we get conditioned with that too. Like everything was karma, we had to go through everything, and we need all these hard learning lessons. And
yeah.
okay, if we need to keep learning like that, we can, but we can also evolve consciously by saying, I'm going to evolve and I'm going to experience this. So that's what I'm experimenting with too, I guess, because that's just more fun, like being more in a cosmic playground instead of just like a battlefield, which is what I feel like a lot, it's been a lot through the history.
Well, yeah, and you were a racer, so I mean, you must have felt that you were on the battlefield quite
Yeah.
often. Is that
Totally. My South Node is in Aries, so that is the warrior and all of that kind of stuff. My North Node's in Libra, which is the lover, partner, finding things that are beautiful in life. So I am really following that kind of energy, as well as these new codes I feel are coming in, but it really does align for me with
yeah.
like creating beauty, just in your breath. It doesn't have to even be a room or an outfit or a piece of art. It can just really be like, wow, like I could really take that breath and it wasn't like stopped up in the top of my chest kind of feeling.
Right. Well, I just got a signal on my screen that I actually, yes, I got rid of it, but I think I want to honor our time and
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, to say to close our session. I think the beauty of this is that there's only one person that each of us can bring into being, and that is ourselves. And what a magnificent, what a magnificent adventure that is.
Amazing, right? It has felt like the cosmic birth canal is how I feel it, where it's just like it's that rebirth and the redesign, and we have that opportunity, right? Like I feel like a lot of times, if you believe in past lives, I know that you do, but anyone listening, just this idea that like, okay, we didn't get it right or complete, so we're coming back to do it again. I feel like we're having the chance to just really rebirth like over and over right now. And like how cool, like it's like kind of that 9 lives like a cat or whatever in one lifetime. Because I know for myself, I think it's amazing for all of us to just appreciate how far we've come in this one life and to like really honor ourselves for being here at the like front. It's like we have front row seats to evolution right now, you know, and how speedy it's really been. Because if you look from your childhood to now, you can blow your own mind. I mean, I can do that. I'm like, that was me. And then like that teenage girl was me, and that 20-year-old was me. And it's like, incredible. But we're taking all of that and we really are processing and evolving so quickly. I think we should really take a moment to be proud of that too, you know, because we can be too hard on ourselves to like get this job done and get the mission accomplished and all that kind of stuff. But we
Yeah.
have we have already done it, and how exciting that we get to keep continuing. And it's so rapid now. I do feel, regardless of how we would explain space and time or whatever, it does feel like it's really sped up, and you can just like have a clear vision of what you want to shift, and it can shift so quickly. It's like, it doesn't have to be like, okay, by next year I'm going to have this sorted out or whatever. Like we can really do it
Yeah.
much
Just right now, just
right
right.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's really the portal idea, and the idea of multidimensionality is that you just walk this way and you walk through, you know what I mean, instead of like building all the blocks and climbing up the ladder and then looking at the view and being like, oh, I need to do some more. We just pivot quicker, and it's more fun, and we can forgive each other easier that way, and we can let things go with other people easier, and we can just, it's like it's moving quicker, so we're not collecting all this stuff in a vortex and then managing the energy. We're just portaling.
That's great, Willow. That's
Yeah.
really great.
I want to ask you real quick before you go though, what do you feel like, aside from kind of the relief like you talked about at the beginning, what do you feel really excited about moving through this energy?
Thanks. It's a great question. For me, I've always loved the sun. I've got sunspots to prove it. I've always loved the sun, being in the sun. But now it's not just an idea of a sun or the feeling of a sun, it's that the sun is a living being. And I'm being brought into the cosmos in a way that I never was before. And so there's something that I can't describe. I mean, although my Mars is in Mercury, Mercury was in retrograde when I was born. So sometimes I have a great deal of difficulty communicating, but it's just a feeling of moving. And I don't know if it's with the cosmos or with the God of my heart or whatever it is, but it is somehow strengthened and it feels more aggressive in a really lovely way.
I love that. That's so cool. And you did a fabulous job of explaining it. Because how can you put words to this kind of like magic and mystery, you know? And I think there's too much pressure for us to like articulate that clearly too.
Yeah,
But
right.
everyone has their own experience of being one with everything, which is really what you're saying. And it's like, it's, yes, the sun's outside, we can see it, but it's within us. And so it's like this merging energy that's happening too, where you're home, like, but within your body.
That is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. And I hope we can continue our chats. And if people would like to reach you, is there a way they can reach you? And I'll put it down below too.
Sure. I have a website. So there's a contact page on there, willowrockwell.com. And I'm on Instagram. Occasionally I post something, but that's just Willow Rockwell as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll just stay with our cosmic chatting, because who knows what we're going to uncover, you know? That's the whole fun. Because
Yes.
we don't really plan, and we try to flow. And I think that's great, because it's like the Zoom is structure enough. So we have the structure, and then we
Yes.
see what happens, because that's what we're meant to be doing. It's evolving.
Yes.
Instead
Thank
of
you, Willow.
30 questions and we
Yes.
figure it all out.
And the Zoom format is not my favorite. I really, it's funny. It's funny, but I love what you're saying, and to be continued. And thank you, Willow. I so much
So
appreciate.
that was really fun. I'm glad we connected.
Me
after all
too.
the back and forth. Have a beautiful rest of the day.
You too. Enjoy the eclipse.
Thank you. Bye, Mary.
Thank you. Bye-bye.